Welcome back to Respect the Dead, the podcast where we don't.
Betty, it's no surprise that everyone celebrated your demise, and now worms are eating your eyes. So don't you worry your rotting head as you sleep in your sodden bed. It's time to respect the dead.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Respect the Dead. I'm Hoots.
I'm Caelan.
And I'm mainly Mandy.
And today, the best way to honor the legacy of my topic today is by broadcasting ourselves, mocking him, and celebrating his death, because he spent a great deal of his broadcasting career mocking people who disagreed with him and notably celebrating the deaths of AIDS victims. So today, we're going to talk about Rush Limbaugh.
Yes. Destroy him, Hoots. Destroy this fucking man. I hate him so much.
Okay. Here's the thing. As a Canadian, I know about him, and I knew there was a man who did that. I did not remember it was that man that you were talking about today who mocked the deaths of AIDS victims, and now I am so excited about the worms that are going to eat him.
Yes, they've been eating him.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm so fucking excited.
Yeah, he sucks so hard. And I will say, Caelan, it's totally fair that you couldn't remember who he was, because Rush Limbaugh's legacy, he kind of pioneered this whole like modern movement of conservatism that is just about like triggering the libs and nothing else.
That's so basic.
He created like a whole media diet that would persist throughout the kind of mid 90s into the 2000s. So he is the kind of father of all of that, the grandfather of all of that. But it makes sense that you wouldn't like remember quite who he was, because so many people have modeled themselves after him. So let's fucking get into it.
He was like the OG rogue.
He was. Yeah.
Like
he was the OG.
OG Rogan, OG
Yeah.
Alex Jones. Like,
Yeah.
Are we all of them?
Yeah.
This whole vibe?
And the way that Alex Jones changed the diet of fucking conspiracy theorists. Rush Limbaugh changed the diet of the mainstream Republican conservative movement in the United States.
That's nasty. Let's go.
So Rush Limbaugh III was born January 12th, 1951 in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. So he's Trip. He's number 3.
Is that what trip means? When people call old, like rich people trip, that's what they mean?
Yes. Triple.
Oh my God.
The third. Trip.
Okay. I literally just thought that they were giving like a cool mask name, like Truck or Spank or something.
Like, it's number 3. It's Junior.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Gross,
bit of country club lingo for you there.
Nasty.
So, you know how there's that like meme on like social media, like don't ask actor or pop star why their family's names are blue on Wikipedia.
Yes.
Well, the Limbaugh family is so blue that like their names are so blue that the Limbaugh family is its own Wikipedia page, linking off to the wikis for each Limbaugh that is famous. They're like a big Missouri politics people and have been since before he was born. And most of the family are lawyers, like they're trained in law, not Rush, which we'll get to. Most notably, Rush's grandfather, Rush Limbaugh Sr., was a lawyer and a Republican in the Missouri State Legislature in the 1930s and an ambassador to the newly independent India's legal system during the Eisenhower administration. So he grew up pretty wealthy. He grew up not like fuck you money, not like a billionaire or anything.
Yeah.
But he grew up like pretty well off. He came from a family of lawyers and he was pretty popular in school because he had like a cool basement with like a pool table and shit that he'd invite other kids to come hang out in. But he was never like super athletic and he hated school. Despite the fact that the family were prominent Republicans, a lot of his friends at school described him as kind of apolitical during this time period. One even remarked that he was great in debate class because he could debate either side of an issue pretty equally. Like he didn't have strong personal feelings either way, and that made him a strong debater. However, he wanted to become a radio DJ from like a very early age, from childhood. Like this was like the main focus of his life. And his father, Rush Limbaugh Jr., disapproved, but still got him an internship at a local radio station when he was 16. So, you know, like a dad who was like, I would like you to find like a real job, but like, I love you. So I managed to arrange this like internship where you can go and like learn how to do radio.
Okay. Well, that's something. Thanks, Daddy.
Yeah, I know. Like,
yeah, like that's a nice gesture.
Especially for like a dad during that time period, because like,
yeah,
most of them sucked. Like,
right.
Not too bad being like, well, I don't approve of your hobbies, but I'll still support you.
Right. Yeah.
He attended Southern Missouri State University, but dropped out after 2 semesters. So unlike the vast majority of the rest of the men in his family, Rush III did not become a lawyer. He dropped out of college after 2 semesters. At the age of 20, he accepted a job at a top 40 station in Pennsylvania, where his manager at the time described his on-air personality as an early Imus, referring to John Imus, who was one of the very first like shock jock radio personalities.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So he was kind of modeling himself after that style, and I think like in the early days of like DJing, having a personality was part of it, but it was mostly like a guy with kind of a personality who was finding you good music and playing you good music. And then like throughout the like 70s into the 80s, like it started becoming like the priority started to become like these kind of like shock jocks who like the personality was like central to it, and them saying shocking things was like central to their appeal. And that's what people tuned in for more so than the music. So he was starting to like develop that around that time in his early 20s. Mm-hmm. He got fired from that station after about 18 months for clashing with the program director. This is like a theme in his early career. He gets fired from a lot of stations because people don't like him. Like he's a bit of an asshole and they don't want to hang out with him.
They can't handle the truth.
They simply cannot handle the truth. These badass truth tellers. Can they even say that? So he got a job as a nighttime DJ at another station for a while before getting fired from that one too, and moving home in 1974. So throughout the mid to late 70s, he works at a few different stations in Kansas City, Missouri, but he never works at any of them for very long, and he actually sort of gets disillusioned with radio for a bit.
Do we know if he was successful? Like, do we know if people liked him?
Mildly. It
like not the people he worked with, but like...
Yeah, not the people that he worked with. It seems like people were kind of tuning in. Like he was starting to develop like his personality around this time, and like I said, he was developing like that shock thing. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he really started to like hone in on at that time was like the conservative, like commentator personality at the time. And he described it back then as satire. He was saying that he was satirizing the way liberals see conservatives. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to go for this like, Colbert Report style persona that he was developing during this time. So I think he wasn't like falling flat on his face, and he wasn't getting like no listens, but he was getting fired because like it seems like a lot of people didn't like him. And he actually...
Because he was too edgy.
He's too edgy. He got... I don't actually know if that's why or if it was just like different personal issues.
Right.
But he kind of got disillusioned for a little bit from radio, and he left and took a part-time job working in sales for the Kansas City Royals baseball team. And then eventually left that. The story that I've heard about why he left that is because like he had one friend that was on the team, and that was the only person who liked him. And then when that friend got traded off the team, he had to leave because everybody else fucking hated him.
Oh my God.
So he went back to radio, and then in 1983, he's offered a radio spot on KFBK in Sacramento, California, replacing Morton Downey Jr., who like needs to be the subject of a future episode because he also sucks like so fucking hard. But the station was specifically looking for a right-wing style shock jock to fill the slot because that's kind of what Morton Downey Jr. was. And they encouraged him to like embody that and like push the envelope in that regard, but just not go as far as MDJ, because Morton Downey Jr. was fired from the station for using a slur against Asian city councilman in Sacramento.
Well, yeah, I'm glad he is dead then. So, we should do him sometime.
We should.
Yeah, we will do him sometime. And like Rush was, like in reviews at the time was like written up and praised as being like the guy who would skate as close as he could to that line without actually crossing it. And like I said, like he, in the period of like the 70s into the early 80s, he like called himself a satire. So I kind of think like he was also a pioneer in like right-wing people cloaking their opinions in quote-unquote irony, because it kind of sounds like how he's describing it. He's like, oh, I'm doing like an impersonation of what a left-wing person thinks a right-wing person is like. So like when I say this like really hateful stuff, I'm joking, I'm being
right,
ironic.
It's just a joke.
But I kind of believe some of it, and it like it's not,
it's a character I'm playing.
I did compare it to
it pretty much reflects my party's beliefs as well, but it isn't like me, you know? It's not like me, it's like them me.
You
so
would
like when I say it, it's on them, not
you would
me,
think I would say
them me said it.
You would think I would say that.
You would think I had said that
you
would think I just...
it's that vibe so hard.
And because this is the way these loony lefties see me, and isn't that silly, but also like kind of based? Like,
but if I did think that,
I compared him to Colbert a few minutes ago, but Colbert wasn't like trying to do like wasn't trying to like low-key flatter conservatives by being like, this is like what liberals think you're like. Colbert was like, I'm going to satirize a conservative,
right?
And you can argue about like how funny that was, but like it feels like there are too many levels of deflection here already for Rush. And like over time he started to believe himself. And actually, like I want to like one of the ways I'm going to get into like some actual quotes from him in a little bit. It sounds like there's some dogs like fucking going for it in the park next door. But like some quotes from like the way he frames himself, I think are kind of illuminating about this kind of like mirrors of like deflection. He says things like, even when I think I'm wrong, I'm right. I'm all knowing. And he says lots of things like, I could win a debate with half my brain tied behind my back. That's like one of the famous things that he says.
That's so good.
Which is like, it's very funny, right? It's very funny.
I love that. Like, that's so good.
There's an extent to which you're like, oh, he is kind of mocking himself. Like he's kind of mocking his own like cockiness. But like at what point does he sort of believe it? And another thing that he says, like...
it just sounds like he's just having fun with it. Like, he sounds like he believes it, but he's just smart enough and clever enough to want to entertain himself with his own jokes. Like, I don't think that joke was for anyone else. I think he just thought that was like a really funny way to phrase it. So he did, because he's a fucking weirdo.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's whatever the
he was an artist.
Yeah. It's like, anyway, one thing that he does say that's like very illuminating about his like personal politics is enraging liberals is simply one of the most enjoyable side effects of my wisdom. So again, his whole thing is like, I just want to say these kind of things, even things like I'm always right, even when I'm wrong, I'm right. He's saying to get a rise out of people. Yeah. Right. Like he doesn't sincerely believe any of this.
Right. He's just poking people with stuff like that. Yeah.
I don't even think he ever genuinely believed that he was a genius. I think he was aware of the fact that he was a fucking college dropout, but was like, if I say this, I'll make people mad. And also I'll be creating a little bit of like myth building for myself, you know?
Right. Yeah.
What a genius move.
There is a kind of genius to it.
Like it's not bad PR. Like all of this, it gets exactly what he wants, which is like publicity and attention and a name for himself that becomes like synonymous with his own like personal brand of like shitty comedy, right? Like I'm kind of into it. Like
totally.
Like just from like a marketing perspective, I'm like, I should be writing this down right now.
He's not a dumb guy. And he like, again, like he set the template for so many people to follow him. Like there is like a level.
Right. Like this is so common.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people do this now, and it's like you could just throw a rock and hit somebody who's doing this now. Like that's such a common thing. So like
I would throw a fucking rock and hit somebody who's doing this right now. A brick, a milkshake, I don't care. Soup for my family.
You should.
Soup for my family.
Anything.
So he's like a massive hit in San Francisco.
The gays?
He tripled the rate of listeners to the show. No.
The gays loved him.
The conservatives, California is like a weird place where like, yeah, you've got like very far left and very far right sharing like the same fucking cities, everything. So like there are a lot of conservatives in Central and Northern California and in Southern California that listened to him, and he like tripled the rate of listeners to what was already like a very popular show.
That must have felt so good.
Mm-hmm.
And he earned a 6-figure salary. In 1983, he earned a 6-figure salary.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Like, I hate him, but that sounds nice.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, people love me and I'm making money. Like,
Exactly. People love him and they hate him. Like, around this time, there are like billboards that are around the city.
that does feel good too.
Yeah. There are billboards around the city of Sacramento that are like, what would you, like, would you punch Rush Limbaugh in the face? Imagine.
I'm obsessed.
Imagine having that kind of
Like,
notoriety.
Yes.
I bet he loved it. I bet he
would
ate it up.
I would too.
I mean, I would too. Yeah, for sure.
Like, honestly, if I walk by a billboard with my stupid fucking face on it, with like, would you punch Caelan in the face? I would be like, yes, I would. Like 100%. Like, somebody come watch me punch myself like a fucking clown. I'm like,
so his career like pretty much just sees an upward trajectory from there. Like he never until like the end of his life when he gets sick, he really doesn't see like a decline in his popularity. So important context, in 1987, the Fairness Doctrine is repealed in the U.S., which is an FCC guideline, not a guideline, a policy that required the holders of broadcast licenses to present controversial issues of public importance and to do so in a manner that fairly reflected differing viewpoints. So this is why, like, this is kind of like the repeal of this is kind of like the start of what would become like the fake news era, because like even back in like the 70s and the 60s, we would have people like fervently disagree about things, but there would largely be like an agreement on what like the base facts are, because media outlets would be required to present both sides to a case. And there were obviously always still like shitty people who were like, well,
right,
my racism is valid. But like, largely like the facts of any given large news item would be laid out and would be largely agreed on by the populace. Yeah. When the Fairness Doctrine is repealed, it's kind of like the Wild West. Like it's like everybody can just report on whatever they want, however they want. And this is
with no oversight whatsoever.
No oversight. And this is a fucking boon to Rush Limbaugh.
Of course it is.
Yeah. I mean, again, like he wasn't trying to be a news outlet, but like now in talking about news items or like controversial issues, he doesn't legally have to present the other side. He can just push.
Yeah, he can just say whatever he wants. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a little happy about that, because like I don't personally ever want to have to present the other side of what I'm talking about. I mean, I usually do, but like
I wonder if YouTube would have fallen under that if it had kept going.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like I could actually do present the other person's side, but like,
and be like, this is why this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, yeah, your entire gender,
like, because the other side is fucking stupid.
Your entire gender critical series, you very much presented the other side, but you showed why it was bad. Actually,
well, okay, so I guess I was already doing what the Fairness Act originally wanted, but then it was repealed, and now you can just say whatever the fuck you want, like Mr. Potato Head is grooming your kids or whatever the fuck Ben Shapiro said.
Potato grooming. In 1988, he'd start his flagship syndicated radio show on WABC NYC, The Rush Limbaugh Show, and that would be like his legacy. He was so massively successful that not only did his radio show inspire a TV show produced by Roger Ailes of Fox News, but Ronald Reagan called him the #1 voice for conservatism on air. Ronald Reagan called into his show and was like, you are the #1 voice for conservatism.
Ow.
Oh my God, no, this is like Trump calling into Fox.
I was just thinking that.
That's so embarrassing.
Yeah, when people, when like classical liberals try to say like, I'm a conservative, but like I don't like Trump. I want to go back to when people on the right wing had morals and standards. Remind them that fucking Ronald Reagan was calling into the fucking Rush Limbaugh show.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rush Limbaugh show was really where he was a pioneer in the triggering the libs aesthetic of right-wing apathy. So like he didn't believe anything and never did for his entire life. Like his friend said when he was younger, he was apolitical. As he embodied this character and started to absorb a little bit more of its ideals, he didn't become a right-wing activist in that he cared about any of the issues that conservatives cared about. The only thing he cared about was triggering the libs. Mm-hmm. And he made that in particular enormously popular and made it kind of the platform for all conservatism from that point forward. The guys who are like not into explicitly triggering the libs like Mitt Romney are outliers now. Like the party as a whole is like, we are into being cruel to people who aren't us. Mm-hmm. And that's it. We don't stand for anything.
Yeah.
It became like fully reactionary. Mm-hmm. Like we're just here like just to kick dirt into people, like kick sand into people's eyes, like really just to cause problems, which like in general, I can kind of stand, but considering the problems that they're causing and who they're causing them for, not so much. Mm-hmm. Like I'm okay with a shit disturber.
Oh yeah.
And like a shit lord even, but like this seems like he probably has a lot to answer for.
He's not kicking that sand into the eyes of the powerful, Caelan.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's where the sand's going.
He's kicking it down.
Yeah, there's no punching up here.
And he like pioneers that. Like so many people adopt his style, which was marked by cruelty. He mocked liberals relentlessly, but also the homeless, the sick, and people suffering from addictions. He famously mocked the symptoms of Michael J. Fox's Parkinson's disease. So like while he was recording his show, he was on camera the way we are like right now, but it was like a webcam that streamed to some of his fans. Also BT Dubs, he called his fans ditto heads because he expected them to just like repeat everything he said. Like a real fucking cult leader.
So fucking rude, and I love it.
I hate it.
I hate him, but I love it.
So his webcam was called the Ditto Cam, and he broadcast himself like imitating Michael J. Fox, like shaking of Parkinson's disease. Don't really know why. Like,
what does that?
What is the political aim of making fun of somebody who has Parkinson's disease?
Attention,
just
I guess.
Cruelty.
Headlines.
And like literally, is Michael J. Fox that political of a person.
No.
Like, I don't think I ever hear about him doing
Almost
anything.
never.
So, like, I don't see why he would be a target.
At the time,
Yeah, that's a really weird target.
At the time, what Rush was reacting to was that Michael J. Fox, to raise awareness of Parkinson's, elected to go off of his meds for a period of time and appear on camera so that they could record like what it looks like when somebody has Parkinson's and no access to medication.
Okay.
Right.
So like the furthest left this activism was like, hey, we should make sure that people with Parkinson's have access to medication because this is what it looks like when you don't.
Wow, what a libtard. Okay.
Yeah.
So weird.
And then Rush was like, I'm going to mock him for this.
Jesus.
So he showed like compassion and like self-sacrifice and like if, in honor of the greater good. And Rush was like, this makes me fucking sick.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
I'm going to ruin your fucking night.
And also, my grandmother has Parkinson's, and it's not just a physical, in terms of like the shaking. It's this like neurological thing. So it also affects your brain. Like your brain is. I just started to say that disintegrated. That's not quite the right word for it, but it's degenerative. So like it's affecting your brain as well. So it's just horrible to do on so many levels. And just say, and all because Michael J. Just because he said like, hey, maybe don't. Yeah. Like maybe we should make sure people can get treatment for this, which
it was literally a guy who
so baseline.
Yeah. It was literally a guy who was like, I am one of the most like rich and privileged people who will ever suffer from this disease. And I want to show you how bad it is because you're not going to see me suffering from it, but other people will.
Right.
And I want to show you what it looks like when they do suffer so that everybody knows, so that we raise awareness that like people need their Parkinson's medication because this is a horrific disease. And Rush Limbaugh took that personally, I guess.
And I took that personally. I mean,
it's like, oh, so just because you're doing something, that means now I'm supposed to be doing something? Like, no, fuck you. Like
he was angry about it. He's like, well, now I have to make a response to this, I guess.
Yeah, like I got to do something because this guy's making me look fucking stupid.
I can't allow people to not shake.
Fucking ghoulish. Again, he like, even though this character quote unquote started as satire, he came to embody the positions that this character held. And he also came to believe that his enemies, which was just like anybody who disagreed with him, were ontologically evil. Like we're just like evil at root, at nature. So spreading misinformation about them was fair play in order to win in what he saw as a struggle against evil. So he would just like fucking lie about people on air. Notably, we're all going to agree here that we're not like huge fans of the Clintons, right?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
In general,
would 100% push into a volcano.
We're all very far left. Yeah, we're all very far left. So like, I am not going to bat for the Clintons here, but he hated the Clintons with a passion, and they were frequently the focus of his ire and mockery. And the myth that Hillary Clinton is like more of a war hawk than the majority of centrist Dems, that even leftists like us tend to repeat to this day, came directly from Rush. Like Hillary Clinton is about par for the course for anybody who's like a centrist Dem in their international policy, like something that any of us sitting here would disagree with. But like the myth that she is somehow like deadlier and more hawkish and more evil than Obama comes directly from Rush. And like even people on the left will repeat it to this day.
I have heard that a lot.
Yeah, I have too. Yeah, I didn't realize
not like someone that has ever like Googled it. I'm not like, how bad was Hillary Clinton? Because like kind of bad is bad enough for me. Like, and like I can't vote for her anyway, so not really my problem. But yeah, I didn't realize that was stemming.
Yeah, me either.
From him, and I didn't realize that I didn't know that was like a falsity or like a weird political urban legend or
That was a huge reason a lot of people on the left either voted for Trump or abstained in 2016. And I will say that, the drone strikes during the Obama administration weren't great, but they ramped up considerably over the course of the Trump administration. So there's just like no evidence that if Hillary were in power, as the president, that she would have been worse for foreign policy than Donald Trump, and that's it. It's something that I've heard as well, and that I've internalized as well. Like I still think of her as like more of a war hawk than other centrist Dems, even though there's no data to back that up, and that's all. It all comes from the Rush Limbaugh show.
Well, that's ugly.
Yeah.
This his brain is in worms that are in my brain.
He's created brain worms for us all.
Yeah, god damn it, Rush.
So he inspired the style of conservative media figures to this day, and also launched a number of their careers on his show. Careers like Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity were started on the fucking Rush Limbaugh show.
Fucking Glenn Beck. Ugh.
Can I say that I always confuse Sean Hayes from Will and Grace and Sean Hannity when their names are said?
They're different.
They're very different people.
They sure are.
Sean Hannity is the bad one. So I'm going to read you guys some quotes.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Oh yes.
From his work over the years.
I bet I'm going to remember a few of these.
So let's start with Rush Limbaugh's quotes on race. The NFL all too often looks like a game between the Bloods and the Crips without any weapons. There, I said it.
Oh my God.
Have you ever noticed how all composite pictures of wanted criminals resemble Jesse Jackson?
Okay, I just need to say this because this is a podcast for the people that can't understand what's happening. My jaw has like dislocated.
It is. I can see
laying
it
on the carpet in front of me.
I've never seen either of you paler. Like the color drained from both of your
I'm definitely very pale, so that's saying something. Jesus.
The NAACP should have riot rehearsal. They should get a liquor store and practice robberies.
What the
Jesus Christ! I thought the worst.
Fuck. This is like okay, worse than current shock.
Oh,
jocks.
it's gonna
that's
get
worse than the fucking LePage quote about the NAACP. Jesus. Okay. Yeah. There was when LePage was governor of Maine, there was an infamous incident where I think he got invited to the NAACP chapter in Maine, or wherever it is, to like for something. I don't remember if it was for like Black History Month or it was something like that. And his response, which became a whole thing, was to tell them to kiss his butt,
which is mild in comparison.
And it's very mild in comparison, but it was also like, I mean, yeah, it was obviously super fucking rude, but it was just, yeah, that's nothing.
Rush Limbaugh's, it's shocking.
Jesus.
All right. So I believe this was back in his Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. Guys, I've had like half a bottle of Prosecco. I think this was back in his Pennsylvania days. Rush claimed not to understand a black caller who had called into his show, and he hung up on him saying, "Take that bone out of your nose and call me back."
Literally.
Oh my God. You can't say
you.
What the fuck?
Both of their mouths are open.
That, like, and now we're getting like Flintstonian about it.
Fuck?
Like,
kind of. I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, just like unbelievable levels of racism. However, that was I think that was Pennsylvania, so I think that was the mid 70s. I'm gonna share a YouTube link now. Okay. This is from the Obama administration. This is from Obama's run for presidency, rather. So this is 2007. Okay. This is a song he played on his show.
Oh no.
Here we go. This is Paul Shanklin as Al Sharpton about Barack Obama. rock, the magic Negro. In D.C.
Oh my God.
LA Times, they call him that cause he's not authentic like me. Yeah, the guy from the LA paper said he make guilty whites feel good. They'll vote for him and not for me cause he's not from the hood.
So that's bad, right?
Holy fuck. He just said that so confidently.
This is if Weird Al like was raised by two Klansmen.
Yeah, it's
Like, what is this, honey?
Jesus, that was horrible.
Literal fuck.
yeah, it's real bad. That was 2007. That was late.
No, that was like 10 years ago. I don't math, but that was not. There's like legitimately no fucking excuse for that. Like, even if it was 300 years ago, there's no excuse.
Then.
But like,
I had graduated high school by then. Like, Jesus Christ.
2007.
So
I was like 21.
I was
Like,
not
literally,
expecting
what the
hard
fuck?
N, like right out the gate. Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, Rush.
So he played that on the air. Speaking of the Obama administration, in 2012, famously, a woman called Sandra Fluke gave testimony that birth control should be covered by the Affordable Care Act.
And here it is. This is the one I remember.
Yeah, and it did eventually get covered by the Affordable Care Act because for anybody who doesn't know, like, in addition to preventing pregnancies, birth control is an important part of hormone regulation. It's an important part of an important treatment for polycystic ovary syndrome. Rather, it is like it is legitimate healthcare.
It's healthcare. It's not just contraceptive.
It's not just
contraceptive. There's so many other purposes for it. Yeah,
and I count myself as one of the hundreds of thousands, millions of women who take it primarily for healthcare and not for contraceptive. So on Sandra Fluke's 2012 testimony, he got real mad, and he went on his radio show and said, "What does it say about the college co-ed Sandra Fluke, who goes before a congressional committee and essentially says that she must be paid to have sex? What does that make her? It makes her a slut, right? It makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex. She's having so much sex that she can't afford contraception. She wants you and me and the taxpayers to pay her to have sex. If we're going to pay you for your contraceptives and thus pay you to have sex, we want something for it. We want you to post the videos online so we can all watch." So the woman comes forth with this frankly hilarious claim that she's having so much sex and her buddies with her that she can't afford it. And not one person says, "Did you ever think about maybe backing off on the amount of sex that you have?" First of all, I just want to say, like, this betrays like a massive misunderstanding about like how hormonal birth control works.
Yep.
Like, the birth control pill is not like a condom,
right?
Where, like, you take it each time you have sex.
You don't just like use
it works more like
I was about to say, like, what?
Yeah, it works the way like Flonase does if you have allergies, where you have to consistently take it and build up a certain amount of it in your system for it to be effective. So it doesn't matter how much or how little sex you're having. You have to consistently take it. Again, I consider, like, I secondarily use it.
It's the way I take PrEP.
Yeah.
Right.
I just swallow a pill every day and I don't get HIV.
Exactly.
That's just
you have to build
works.
up a certain amount in your system.
There's a lot of medications that work like that.
Yeah.
There's so many things, and metal treatments.
No matter how much sex I'm having, I still have to take it every single day. Yeah. Like, what the literal fuck?
But
what the literal
he's either
fuck?
being like intentionally disingenuous here, or just completely misunderstands that the pill is not like Viagra, or is not like a condom, like where you're per use. Like, you have to build up a certain amount in your system. And again, that's why it's healthcare. That's why, like, some of us take it for hormonal things, because like it changes your hormones.
Yeah. And this is how I first, I think, learned about Rush Limbaugh, is this whole incident. I mean, I probably had kind of heard of him before this, but like that was the first time I like really consciously recognized who he was and remembered him from
this was
then on.
huge. This was huge at the time.
It was a big deal.
Fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
What year was this?
2012.
Yeah.
2012.
Okay, that was 10 years ago, Sweaty.
That's when I first moved to Portland,
10
Maine.
years ago.
Yeah, that was not that long ago.
Okay, there's no excuse for him to think that whatsoever. Like, I understood that years and years before that, and I went to a Catholic school that told us that there was no actual form of birth control except for abstinence, and I still understood that hormones are often regulated by taking birth control. He's intentionally doing it. There's no way you can be that.
He's obfuscating
about
like the people who try to make it sound like every abortion occurs at 8 months as opposed to 6 weeks.
Right.
Oh my God. The people that are they want it to happen a day before to a day after birth.
I hate those fucking quotes so much.
That's not an abortion. That's a fucking stillbirth.
Yeah, or legitimate infanticide. Are we talking dumpster babies? That's what are you doing with the baby a day after? Are we doing this right now? Or are we claiming this?
So famously, when Rush died, this went viral. This was his AIDS update. So
this is what I remember.
Yeah, this was a big news thing around the time that he died. Iowa Cedar Rapids Gazette reported in 1990 that Limbaugh's AIDS update, quote unquote, a recurring segment in which he made jokes about a disease that had killed more than 100,000 people in the United States at that point, started by playing songs such as Back in the Saddle Again, Kiss Him Goodbye, I Know I'll Never Love This Way Again, and Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. The AIDS update segment was short-lived. According to the New York Times, it ended after a few weeks. Limbaugh would call the segment one of the most regretful things I've ever done because it was, quote, making fun of people who were dying long, painful, and excruciating deaths. So they do say that it was very short-lived, but there was still a period of time where he played comedic songs making fun of people who had died of AIDS and read out their names on air and celebrated their deaths in the 1990s.
I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy. He's so fucking terrible.
Yeah. I don't even feel like a hypocrite about it. I legitimately am glad he's dead. I wish he had never been born.
And again,
but I'm so glad he's dead.
Yeah, really.
This is the best way to celebrate his life.
Yeah.
This was what he wanted.
Is talking about his, talking shit on him. I think he's probably in hell laughing.
Can you please add in one of those songs now that we're talking about his death?
Rush Limbaugh. Yakety sax.
All right, we gotta brainstorm some good songs.
Or whatever the songs were that he played. Let's play it in honor of his death.
So, on illegal drug use, Rush Limbaugh said, drug use, some might say, is destroying this country. And so if people are violating the law by doing drugs, they ought to be accused and they ought to be convicted and they ought to be sent up, sent to prison. Yeah. Notably, in 2009, Limbaugh settled out of court following an investigation into the 2,000 painkillers found prescribed to him by 4 doctors over a 6-month period in 2006. 2,000 painkillers!
Wait, is that 2,000 individual pills?
2,000 pills or 2,000 different prescriptions? 2,000 pills or 2,000 prescriptions?
It's got to be 2,000 pills. It can't be 2,000 prescriptions because it's only 4 doctors.
Are there even 2,000?
I don't think there are 2,000 different drugs.
What do they got? 500 pages per script?
Yeah.
Pad? We got just 4 doctors, 500 each.
Just clearing out all the pharmacies.
They would be so tired.
It must be pills.
They would have to get a prescription. They would have to get a prescription for their carpal tunnel.
Okay, it must be pills. But imagine having 2,000 painkiller pills. Like,
just hanging out in your
system.
Untaken. Like there were others that were in his tummy.
oh no, in Rush Limbaugh's tummy.
Probably some with some of his friends.
Probably shared.
Oh no. Oh, okay, we're gonna need to find his body. We're gonna need to find Miss Frizzle, and we're gonna magic school bus our way into his court. And we're gonna see how many pills are rotting in his stomach right now.
We are gonna get so high. Just freebasing off of Rush Limbaugh court.
We're gonna I'm like, I know this is fucking disgusting, but can we just like smoke the worms that are eating him right now?
Oh my God.
Like,
I was just thinking that.
Why were you also thinking that, you sicko?
I don't know.
Those are the most chill worms that have ever existed.
Right. Those worms are just
like just like drop them in a martini.
Eat the worm.
Like suck it up like a little tequila shot.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Tequila shot that gets you really fucking high. He'd also been investigated for illegally purchasing oxycodone and hydrocodone back in 2003. So my guy was just like fucking gobbling down pills while calling for the imprisonment of their addict. He was just like,
oh my God. I'm surprised he didn't die sooner.
Oh, no.
I know. That's a lot of fucking pills.
That's so many pills.
It's probably what kept him alive.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Like, I know you can OD, but like
he was sustaining it. He was Keith Richardsing it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, there you go.
And finally, I'm going to read you a quote on the dangers of secondhand smoking and smoking in general. That is a myth that has been disproven that has been disproven.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting that.
I thought it was going to be like, doesn't matter, it's cool. But just like straight up like, no, that's a lie.
It just doesn't exist. It's just
Sounds fake, bro.
Source.
Citation needed.
Sorry.
That is a myth that has been disproven at the World Health Organization, and the report was suppressed. Oh, there was a conspiracy. That wasn't him. That was me. There is no fatality whatsoever. There's no even major sickness component associated with secondhand smoke. It may irritate you and you may not like it, but it will not make you sick and it will not kill you. Firsthand smoke takes 50 years to kill people if it does. Not everybody that smokes gets cancer. Now, it's true that everybody who smokes dies, but so does everyone who eats carrots. I would like a medal for smoking cigars, is what I'm saying. And on February 17th, 2021, at the age of 70, the cigars that Rush smoked since he was a teenager finally came back to claim his ass, and he died of complications. He died of complications due to lung cancer.
Please tell me on his gravestone they wrote, "It doesn't exist." Like right
I don't think they did, but I'm so glad he did. He's dead. He sucks so bad.
Oh my God.
This is now the second time a person you presented has died in a very ironic kind of way. Like the other person, like got swiped down by God.
I love to get to be like, and then on this day, this random thing came to fucking reclaim their shitty body from this earth. I'm so glad he's dead. He was a terrible person. I wish the cigarettes got him sooner.
Yeah.
That is
no, fuck him.
amazing.
He was so terrible. And I remember when he died, that was one of the times that people were like, "Oh, he just died. You have to be nice." I was like, "No, fuck this guy."
This is one of the first times I remember hearing about him, because people were like, he's dead, but he used to make fun of like people that died of AIDS. So it's fine that we're making fun of him. And that was the first time I heard about him. So I obviously joined in because I was like, oh, are we making fun of dead people? Like, 100%
Obviously
I'm in.
our thing.
I love this. This is my jam.
And I think that was like the first time I really disrespected the dead.
Oh, your first time.
And I'm glad that it came like full circle. And now I get to think about his lumpy lungs and how he suffered for like, with his like gross, tarry, lumpy lungs for the remainder of his horrible little life.
Me too.
That's so wholesome.
And that's the story of Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, I'm so glad he's dead. That's so nice. It's like so refreshing.
Fuck like so hard. Rotten hell, Rush Limbaugh.
Like hearing that he died is like using one of those like really gorgeous like facial misters that like probably dry you out more than they actually do like moisturize your face.
Right.
Yeah, but it feels so good at the time. You're
so
like,
good.
This might be bad for me, but like, oh, I'm really enjoying it.
I'm sparkling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where is he dead? Where is he buried?
Oh yeah, where is he buried? Where can we pee on him?
Where can we pee on him?
Oh, that's for future Amanda. I need to look that up.
Perfect.
Future Hoots. Look up where we can piss on Rush Limbaugh.
Hey, this is Editing Hoots here. According to the website findagrave.com, Rush Limbaugh is buried in the Bellefontaine Cemetery in St. Louis, Missouri, in Section Mason B, Block 114, Lot 6973.
All right. I'm Hoots. You can find me on Twitter at Hoot_Little and on YouTube at Little Hoot.
And I'm Mainly Mandy. You can find me at Mainly Mandy on Twitter and Instagram and also on YouTube. And that is spelled like the state of Maine.
I'm Caelan Conrad on everything. And that will be in the show notes because nobody can ever spell my fucking name. We are also at Respect the Dead on Twitter and Instagram. We have a Patreon that you can sign up for and do cute little things like suggest someone that we can cover or add a little fake ad in that we can read for you. Not a real ad, but a fake ad. And something else, reviews. Somebody reviews.
Yeah, if you like us, give us a 5-star review. If you don't, keep our names out of your whore mouth.
That's my favorite. That means going forward. Going forward.
Give us 5 stars or keep our names out of your whore.
I love it. Okay, bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Respect the Dead. You can follow Respect the Dead on Instagram and Twitter at _Respect the Dead.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find our socials in the show notes. And you should check out our YouTube channels. We don't shit on dead people there as often, but still, we're making tons of cool stuff.
If you enjoyed Respect the Dead and would like to support us, there's a couple of ways to do that.
You can give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you found us. Give us at least 5 stars and then share us with a good friend who likes venting about dead people.
You can also give us some money over on our Patreon. Patreon supporters get some cool bonus content like bloopers from the cutting room floor and even coming up with a fake sponsor ad that we'll read in an episode. It has to be a fake business though, not your MLM honey.
Thanks so much for listening. Join us every Monday for our next Worm Feast.
I'm Caelan Conrad.
I'm Mainly Mandy.
And I'm Hoots. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.